Motivation is overrated, or that's what the message was. I was listening to David Goggins. He has written a book, a best-selling book called Can't Hurt Me. He is a former Navy SEAL, served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and he's an ultra marathoner, and I believe he's set some kind of world records as well. He's also a motivational speaker and author. Really inspiring fellow. Do look him up. Do look up his book. And the message that resonated with me was when he was talking about motivation and how that doesn't do shit in his language. So if you think about motivation, well, you may watch some of my videos, or other videos, TED Talks. I'm a huge fan of TED Talks, and they're very motivating, right? And they're like, gosh, yeah, you feel really motivated. But what David Goggins was talking about and challenging was that motivation isn't worth shit, because it's not what kind of gets you through. So there is something else that you need, and what is that something else? So he talked about his ultra marathon experience. But again, you can relate that to anything in life. I mean, you're going through a hard experience. So he's talking about his ultra marathon, 75 miles or something like that, through a desert. And he's saying you're 30 miles into it and your body is completely broken down. And you're in sheer agony. Motivation isn't going to do shit for you, all right? So motivation is not what's going to get you through that. So think about that. Think about some hard experience, something brutal, maybe agonizing that you're going through, or you had gone through, or maybe you're going to be facing in the future. Motivation isn't what's going to get you through. So what is it? What is the secret sauce? So David Goggins, what he talks about is that is what drive is, right? So he differentiates between motivation and drive. Motivation can get you off the couch, but man, I mean, if you're kind of going through that, you're gonna your motivation can't get you through. So he also talked about SEAL training. I think it's called BUDS, and it's pretty brutal. And of course, he went through that, but he was also became a trainer. So what the Navy found was that a lot of people, like the pass percentage of through the Navy SEAL program, the BUDS selection program, was very low, and a lot of people would quit. So they created a training program for that, to prepare them for the BUDS. And boy, and they put them through the paces, and they were creating people who were really fit, really strong. And when they checked on their times, on number of push-ups and the time it took for them to swim a kilometer or something like that, these guys were really good. So that's what David Goggins was in charge of training that. But in his words, he said, we created better, faster, stronger quitters, because we focused on the body, and it's not the body you need through that drive, through that gruel, through that hard part, when you're ready to quit, there is no reason to continue. So that's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on your drive. So he dove in a little bit further, and he talked about, so what is that drive? And I liked how he broke it down, and it's so interesting. And what he talked about was that drive is this inner dialogue. And he said, again, 38 miles into an ultra marathon, or 2 weeks into the 3 weeks Navy SEAL training, you're completely broken down. And what he said was that there's this inner dialogue, and in your brain, it happens at a very rapid fire pace. Like, oh, why am I doing this? What did I can't do it, da da da, and all of that. And he says the mind is going to throw a lot of questions at you, and your drive is simply to be able to respond to those questions. And boy, I found that so powerful. So when that moment comes, and when you're like, oh man, this is freaking hard, why am I doing this? And of course, 1,000 other questions like this, are you going to be able to answer that? Until next time, power on, my friend.